Hello and welcome to the Quest for Games. I'm Jerry, and in this video I'm going to continue the series of videos I'm doing on the 1 to 6 player game Massive Darkness 2. We're going to talk about each one of the character classes in a series of videos here. I'll do 2 character classes per video, maybe 3 in one of them because there's 11 different classes. And in this video, we're going to handle the Wizard and the Paladin. So let's get these to the table and start talking about how you play each class. See you there. So hello and welcome to the table. I'm going to teach you the Wizards class here. So we have a scenario set up. This is our wizard, Ego. I have his player board set up. He's got an ash wand, which has got a magical attack of 1 yellow dice. I have health on him for 6 and mana on him for 5. His special is that he can take up to 3 wounds per round and he gains that much magic for that. And then his shadow is he deals 2 wounds and heals 2 if he rolls the mask or the face on his shadow dice. So if he rolls that mask or face on his shadow dice. So the first thing we got to talk about is setting up the wizard. And you have to set up the spell amulet, which I've already done, but there's a little disc here and there was a little piece of double-sided stick tape that had to go on here so that you could put this in the bottom of the wizard's spell amulet. They refer to this as a spell amulet. As you can see, when he starts without any upgrades, he's got 1 attack here per manta he spends. He can get 1 attack. When he's in this one for 2, he gets 2 heals. In this one combat, he gets to re-roll a dice in combat for 1 mana. In this one, he gets to move for 1 mana. That's his base. But the first thing you're supposed to do, choose a level 1 wizard's card because you are level 1. The satyrs are here because that's who we're going to be fighting. That's who I have here is these satyrs, so that's their card. Those are the 3 level 1 spells. The first one, Dark Magic, is spend 1 magic, deal 2 wounds to any enemy in the dungeon. So that's anywhere in the dungeon. The second one is Frost Armor, and you can see they have a level 1 on each one of these. Frost Armor level 1, spend 1 mana, place 1 frost on the chest armor of a hero in the zone that's in line of sight. When attacked, that hero may discard the frost to gain 1 blue dice, and the attacker takes frost. So that's the Frost Armor. Then there's Fire Course, and it's only allowed to be used during an attack. You spend 2 mana, you get 2 hits, and the defender takes 1 fire. So for right now, let's just say we're going to take that one. So if that's the one we take and decide that's our level 1 spell, we take the level 1 spell that we just acquired and we decide which place we want to put that in the wheel. And I'm going to put that in this one that covers over top of the attack that was already there. So we chose this wizard level 1 spell of Fire Course. That's an attack spell, and that's where the dial happened to be pointed. We're going to try to do a simulated attack. So Ego has a ash wand that gives him 1 yellow dice. He's in shadow, so he gets his shadow dice. The satyrs get 1 blue dice and then 2 black dice because there's a 2-player game, right? Or even a 1-player game. That's what you're supposed to do. So now Ego, because of this spell and it's pointing to that spell, can say, oh, I'm going to spend my 2 mana. See, it says 2 mana. So I'm going to spend my 2 mana to get this spell to go off, which means he gets +2 hits and the enemy takes fire. So we rolled that out. He got 1 more mana and 1 hit and 1 shield. Well, I'm going to do a little thing that I do that kind of helps me keep track of things. This had 2 hits, so I'm going to put 2 swords out there for this spell. We have to put fire on the satyrs. The 1 mana, he could take 1 mana, or I'm going to use the 1 mana to do 1 more damage because 1 mana on his wand does 1 more hit. So we'll put another dice out there for that to try to help me remember and understand how many. But I resolved this one, so it goes away. 1 slash, so he's taken 1 wound. He's doing 3 damage plus the fire to the satyr. So 3 damage. That 3 damage actually takes out one of the minions because each one has 3 health. So one of the minions is gone, and there's fire on him. So now, because he did that in his action, he has to move this over 1. He could spend 2 mana to heal himself 3. Only took 1 damage, so he doesn't really want to do that. And one of the interesting things about a wizard is, since this doesn't say that it's during action phase, like attack or combat, this is a free action. He's not going to do it. He would really like to move this, though, so that he can do something else, like in his combat, he can do a reroll there. So he's going to spend the 1 mana. Now he's got 2 left out of the starting 5. He's going to spend that 1 mana to move his dial so that now he's got 1 reroll in combat. 1 minion dice goes away. So now his second action, and if you remember, magic is the zone you're in plus 1 ahead of you. So he's attacking again. Second action. The spending of the mana to move that 1 didn't do anything. So we're going to roll. He got his shadow dice and nothing else. So his shadow dice says he gets to deal 2 wounds and heal 2. Well, we're deciding that's not enough. So we're going to spend 1 more of his mana to re-roll a dice, and we're going to re-roll this yellow dice. And we re-rolled it to get 1 sword. So now he's doing 3 more hits and gets to heal 2. He's only went down by 1, so he'll get to heal the 1, but he's doing 3 damage. And again, because of his shadow dice, he gets 2 damage and gets to heal 2 wounds. So he's doing 3 damage. They're not blocking any of it. That 3 damage takes out the second minion, so the black dice goes away. Now we've got a problem because it's going to automatically move over to here, which lets him move 1 for spending 1 mana, but he's only got the 1 mana left. So what's he going to do for his last action? Well, let's spend the 1 mana because we don't want to do that, and let's move over to this attack. He gets to roll 1 yellow, the purple, and there's 1 blue. We're hoping for mana. We're hoping for mana, and we got 2 mana and 1 sword. Well, the 2 mana here allows him to do this attack spell again and get 2 damage and 1 fire. He's also got 1 sword, so the spell that he's using gets him 2 additional hits, and then another fire has to be placed on the satyr. The satyr did roll 1 block, so the satyr's taking 2 health. He should have gotten, 2 XP for the kills. So Ego's taken all 3 of his actions, so now we know it's the satyr's turn. The satyr has 2 fire on him, so that means they got to roll 2 yellow dice. Oh, and look at that, 2 hits and 2 mana. So 2 mana, 2 hits. Satyr only had 1 health left. The satyr's gone. Satyr's gone. That gives Ego 3. Now Ego gets to upgrade or go to the next level and spend his 5 XP, which means he's now allowed to pick either one of those leftover level 1 cards or one of these level 2 cards? Well, I'm going to pick that those two don't really appeal to me too much. So I'm going to take this Dark Magic, which is a level 1. And so then I have to decide, do I want to put the Dark Magic over top of the heal? Or do I want to put it over top of that combat reroll or over top of the move? I'm going to decide to put that over top of my combat one that would allow me to reroll dice. And because I use this, I have to move the amulet 1, so it's now on. I can spend 2 mana to heal myself. That's pretty much how things go. As you level up, your spells get stronger. You'll get to the point where everything around the wheel is taken up by your cards that have come out. So let's just show, okay, when I get to level 3, I can replace my Fire Course 1 with a Fire Course 2. Fire Course 2 does the same thing, except for now I get to put 2 fire. When I was playing through the dungeon crawl portion of this, the rogue had these 2 pieces on them, a pair of legs and a pair of hands. And they are both Shadowbane. They're part of the Shadowbane set. So what does that mean? Well, this card is the card that has what happens when you get 2 pieces of the Shadowbane set. It says, when I got 2 pieces of the Shadowbane set, I'd be allowed to pull out 1 spell that's the next lower spell and put it on my wheels. So if I was set up the way that I was just talking about, let's say that I leveled up to level 3, and so I put this Fire Course 2 in play, and that meant that my Fire Course 1 had to go away. Now that I've got the Shadowbane, because I have the Shadowbane set, I'm now allowed to pull Fire Course 1 out and put it somewhere. So let's just say I put it on my move. So now I have that, basically that fire attack spell in 2 different places. That's what the Shadowbane does. And as a wizard, if I have all 4 pieces, everything costs me 1 less mana. Okay, so that's the wizard. Hello and welcome to the table. This time we're going to talk about the Mighty Paladin. Set up for the Paladin class in Massive Darkness. You put out the dashboard for the Paladin. You put out his consecration auras on the dashboard. I'll talk about how they work in a minute. For this teach, we're going to use Victor as our Paladin. He has a rusty sword, level 1. For this teach, I've chosen Victor to be our Paladin. Victor is an interesting Paladin. He really wants to be a rogue, but he's a Paladin. His special action is he gets to draw 2 of the rogue tokens out of the rogue bag, which we'll talk about the rogues eventually here, and choose which one he wants and use that as an extra action like the rogue would. If he rolls the mask on the shadow dice, then anybody in one of his consecration zones gets to take a rogue token from the bag, using it the same way. So that's kind of interesting for him, but that's kind of beside the point of a Paladin, right? Victor's level 1, so one of the first things we have to do is pick a level 1 skill. These are the 3 level 1 skills. The Paladins are a little bit tricky. You can see right there it says level 1. You can see right here it says level 2. Maybe you couldn't see that too well. Unlike the other characters, a wizard's on the back says it's a 5 right there on the back. The Paladins are 2-sided. There's a blessed side, which we'll talk about in a minute. So you have to pay attention to that little text right there that says what level it is. So he has Lifeline. The Paladin may take a wound instead of another hero in this consecration zone. He has Boldness, which lets him re-roll 1 attack dice. He has Banish, which if he spends 1 mana, he can move an enemy from this consecration zone by 1 space or 1 zone. Each one of these have a blessed side to the back side of them. That is what happens at the beginning of the round. They can bless. So we'll talk about that in a minute. for the purpose of this, since I'm not really running with two people, I'm going to take the boldness one and I'm going to put that underneath his combat aura. What you'll see is eventually you can put these skills underneath the auras, and you can put two of them underneath like that, and they'll line up. They don't go away. They pretty much always stay out here. And when you put that consecration aura down, the effects that are in the line of cards underneath that consecration aura plus their main aura ability all take effect. So how do I get a consecration aura down? At the beginning of a round, Victor can do, or a Paladin can do, a couple of things. One thing that they can do for free, and they can do this almost at any time, they can spend 1 mana and they can put down a consecration aura anywhere in line of sight. So for Victor, line of sight is the square that he's in, the square that they're in, and this square because there's no door in there. So any one of those 3 spots, Victor could put down a consecration aura. So he's going to spend his 1 mana and he's going to put his consecration aura down right there in the zone with those monsters, our friendly satyrs that we've been using here. So the other thing that they can do at the beginning of each round before they take their first action is they can bless one of their skills, or turn one of their skills to be blessed. And on the back side, you'll see that it went to a black color. Now this blessed boldness, during the attack, he gets 1 reroll, plus he also gets 1 additional hit, no matter what. So now it's Victor's action. Victor can do his action phases. So Victor's going to go do his action. So his first action would be to move. So he's going to have to move into melee range because he's carrying a sword. That's his first action. Second action would be to attack the satyrs. So he's in shadow, so he gets his purple dice. He gets a yellow dice for his sword. The satyr gets the blue dice and the 2 black dice for the 2 minions that's with the satyr. We're going to roll these dice. We already know that during the attack, the paw does something for the satyr, but while they're attacking, the paw does something, but when you're attacking it for defense, it does nothing. So there's really not anything here that I would want to re-roll, but I get an extra re-roll for this, plus my sword gives me a re-roll. So I could re-roll a few things. I'm not going to because it doesn't make any sense. The mana that's here, there's nothing else for me to do with it, so I will spend the mana. I will take that mana and give myself 1 mana back. Maybe that's what I should re-roll. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll use one of the re-rolls to re-roll my shadow dice, and now it's 2 mana. So I can only take 1 mana back because I'm at my max of 3, but I could re-roll it again because of that. So let's do that, and let's not take, there we go. So now it's 2 swords. So I've got that sword and 4 more swords. So in keeping with the way I try to like to do things to keep track of things, there's the 1 sword for this here. I have 5 swords out here. The satyrs didn't block anything, so the satyrs are taking 5 damage. Each of the minions has 3, so we'll get rid of one of the minions, and there's still 2 damage on there. For his third action, right, we've got 1 black dice gone. Whoa, rolled off the table. So that's what I rolled. I get a re-roll for this and a re-roll for this. So I'm going to take this one and re-roll both of those. So I've got rid of the block, but I got 2 mana. We'll take the mana. I'm doing 3 damage to the satyr. So the satyr that's the 3 damage, takes out 1 of these and leaves 2 health on the main leader satyr. Because I killed the 2 minions, that's 2 XP, right? So that's pretty much where we are right now. And the satyr would attack back. So the satyr gets 2 yellow dice because of whatever that weapon is, the mace that they have. And then they get no black dice because he has no minions left. So that paw is not going to hurt me. Victor has 1 blue dice. He's not attacking anymore, but he is in combat. So he's still on his consecration aura. So we roll this. And the satyr's doing 2 damage to him. But because he's in combat, he can re-roll his blue dice. Ah, he got 1 shield. So he takes 1 damage from the satyr, right? So that's a full round of combat. And I'm not sure I need to do anymore because I'm trying to teach the paladin and not combat. So at the end of a round, the blessed goes back to its normal side. It's no longer blessed. The paladin can pull back this aura at any time for no cost and put it back on their board. Then they could spend another mana and put another one out. So he took 1 damage. He could spend another mana and put his healing one out, which says at the start of their turn, anybody in this zone gets 1 health. So at the start of the next turn, after we do the regular stuff, right? We did heroes phase, enemy phase. We got to do level up phase, the darkness phase. We come back around. He's standing in here, so he would get 1 health back because he's standing on that spot. Victor, if he so desired, could spend another mana and put another consecration aura out. He could even spend another mana and put another one out. He can have all of his consecration auras out at one time. The only restriction is there can only be 1 in a zone, so you can't stack them up like this. They have to be in their own zones. The effect of the aura is in the zone that it's in. So whatever his blessings or whatever are, they would be there. So as we level up, so let's say we're going to pick this level 2. His level 2 is, this one is divine projection. And a hero on this aura can attack a enemy that's in any zone that a different aura is in. So that would be a reason why he might want to put an aura. Let's just rework this a little bit and say he put the healing aura back here and he left his combat aura right there. So now at the beginning of his next turn, he could do 1 movement to move back here. He could say, and he has this aura now, he's on that aura because there's an aura in there. He can now attack them as if he's in the same square as them because of this divine projection. So there are things about the paladin that allows them to support other people. There's things that allow them to be more offensive. It all depends upon how you kind of want to play them. So like I was saying, these will stack too. So if I put this echoing hollow in there, I could now use the combat aura in this zone and in this zone and in the one that it's in. So now anybody in this space or this space gets those same attack rerolls, the same combat rerolls that I showed the paladin having earlier. One last thing about the paladin. So when I was playing the dungeon crawl, I wound up with these 2 pieces on the rogue. What does that mean that you have those 2 pieces on there? Well, every character has this Shadowbane card. And for the paladin, if you have 2 like this, if you have 2 of these pieces in your armor set, then you can bless more than 1 at the beginning of the round. You can bless more than 1 of your skills. If you have all 4 pieces of the set, then everything you have is blessed, and it's blessed all the time. All right, so that's the paladin. I hope you've enjoyed this video on classes. If you've seen all of them, have you picked your favorite one yet? Or maybe you just went to the one video that you knew was going to be your favorite one. Whichever. I hope you've enjoyed these videos. I've enjoyed making them. Have fun playing games, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.